I just look in there and talk, that's it. Hi, Mom. I also wanted to tell you that the problems I had, you know, with blowing stuff up and... Hey, it's not a problem anymore.
I've got some bad company here in the closet, Karl Magnus from DICE, and we're here to talk about bad company. Tjena Magnus.
Tjena, läget?
Finally we get to talk about multiplayer. Can you tell us something about the new mode that you're introducing into Bad Company?
Absolutely. The new game mode that we call Gold Rush is basically a new foundation. It's not the same that we've done in Battlefield before, and we wanted to have a game mode that better fit the consoles. That was part of the idea that we had. The bigger thing was also that we wanted to utilize the destruction that we have and also bring all the players in closer. The different game modes that we've seen in the past spread people out over different bases. Now you have the attackers and the defenders, and they're always attacking or defending the same base, which keeps the action together. Now there's still a lot of freedom in and around each base. You know, if you want to use vehicles, you want to flank, you want to snipe, you want to rush in with a shotgun or whatever, it's up to you still. But we're still keeping the action more in one place.
I felt that when I played it, that you're much more kept into the same place, and you're actually forcing players to get into that place. How do you intend to make people aware of where they're supposed to be, and how does that affect the gameplay?
I mean, we have the in-world markers where people need to go and to try to explain what they need to do. But people will learn quite quickly where the crates are and what they need to do. But there will also be very different tactics of how they need to get to them. I mean, if you have a gold crate on the second floor, you can try to sneak in as a specialist to try to take it, plant the C4 on it to do something like that. Or you can just grab the tank, drive up on the hill that is a couple of 100 meters away and start shelling it from a distance, because you can't take them out by just applying heavy force to them as well.
I noticed that when we were playing here, all of us beginners, that the attackers were winning all the time, and that the defenders were having a hard time. How do you look at the balance between defending and attacking?
I mean, we're still working on the balance of it. It's not perfect just yet, but it is the destruction has actually become a new challenge for us, because before the defenders actually, or the defenders of any base in the game modes we have had in Battlefield before, they always had something to hide behind. You know, they could always stand in the windows to defend something like that. That doesn't happen anymore. If the battle doesn't move and it stays on one base for X amount of minutes, I don't know exactly how long, it will completely be broken down. There will be no cover left whatsoever, especially if the attackers are using like the artillery and the heavy tanks to take out everything. So it makes for a harder battlefield to balance, actually. But the idea is that the defenders shouldn't be able to hold the first base. The entire idea of how we balance it is that they're going to have to fall back. And the further they fall back, the bigger benefits they're going to get with more vehicles and these kind of things, so they can defend themselves more and more and more.
So, can you tell us a little bit more about how the battle progresses from the different stages?
Well, you start as the attacker, and the usual base, the home base that you have, has a lot of heavy vehicles. Well, various. I mean, you have heavy and light vehicles. You also have the artillery. So it usually starts out as one big onslaught of the attackers just rushing the first base and using the artillery to soften it up and just drop the artillery strikes all over it. While people are rushing, the snipers fan out and they take up sniper positions so they can just shoot at the base while people just rush in. So the first base has a tendency to either be really hard to take or really easy, depending on what kind of experience you have on the team and how they're playing with and the amount of teamwork that they have or have not.
So how does the thing work with the squads in the different sides?
Yeah, the squad is an example of something that we wanted to simplify, because you automatically get assigned to a squad in Bad Company, meaning that you're always in a squad. You don't have a squad leader that we've seen before, but you just have like the last man standing, we call it, meaning that if you're the last man standing and you die, someone else will be assigned that role. And when you start out the game, you can either spawn on your base or on your squad, and if you're on the squad, you just jump in on your land next to the last man standing, so to say. So that's simplified as well.
For a veteran, what's the biggest difference playing Battlefield this way compared to Battlefield 2 or Battlefield 2142?
For the vintage players have been playing a lot, the absolute biggest difference is going to be the destruction, because it's going to change how people play and how they experience it. I mean, before people could run around a house and it's all a static mesh, and even though perhaps you could run through the house, but you could always run around something that breaks the line of sight between the enemies of somebody shooting at you or something like that. That can't, I mean, it will happen, of course, depending on what weapon they're using, but if you're hiding behind something, that will break if you just shoot at it with a rifle grenade or whatever it might be. And that's going to be a big difference. We have actually noticed that it takes players a bit of a while to get used to this new thing. People start playing the game that they're playing shooters for forever. Just, okay, I can't go through this fence, I have to run around the fence, when they actually just can pick up the knife and just stab it a couple of times and they can go through the wooden fence or something like that. So people start getting used to it after a while. And the people that really play Battlefield, they are the ones that are going to start to use this to its full potential, I think.
So, could you tell us something about your favorite map right now, the one that you like to play the most?
I mean, we have one map that we've shown here today, which is called Ascension. It's one of our infantry-heavy maps, so it doesn't have that many vehicles. We have other maps that are much more heavy on the vehicles. It's a tight setting with a lot of urban areas, so that means that there's a lot of urban fights and a lot of urban destruction going on, which is really cool because it creates new ways to like mouse your way through, to find your new ways, so you don't have to follow the streets or anything like that. You can just create your own way through, and that one is really, really cool. The other map that we're going to have in the beta as well, Oasis, is very cool. It's more of a Middle Eastern kind of settings with a lot of air, land, and sea vehicles as well. So that's a favorite as well.
Now you mentioned something that I gotta ask about the beta.
Yeah.
When are you gonna release that, and how is it gonna work?
The beta is going to be coming out pretty soon. We don't have a final date that was communicated, but it's going to be pretty soon. We want to get a lot of players in there so we can test a lot of the functionality in the background and see how the balancing is and all these kind of things. It's going to be distributed through codes that people can get distributed through our PR and marketing department.
Okay, so is it going to be on both formats, or how are you going to do it?
No, we're focusing, the beta is on 360. So.
And it's mainly for balancing, or?
I mean, from our point of view, mainly it's for trying out the whole back end, because I mean, Battlefield is still very unique with the fact that we have dedicated servers in the background. We have data centers set up all over the world just to get, give the players as good of an experience as humanly possible. And we need to test that as much as we can. So that's a big thing that we need to do with all the connections between Xbox Live, the EA networks, and the servers that we have in the data center. So that's something we want to see if that works. The other key part of it is that we want to hear the feedback from the community, what they think about the game, what they think about the balancing, what they think about the different weapons and vehicles and these kind of things.
So then we come to the final question: when are we going to get to play the full game?
Well, I can't say, we don't have an official date yet, but it's going to be very, very soon.
Very, very soon.
Well, not very, say very soon.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Tack så mycket.
Thank you.
I gotta go. So bye, everybody. And I love you.